podcast that you're about to listen to may cause some viewers to randomly start making sounds similar to this.
Okay, I got my notebook here, got my coffee. Hey there, happy innovators. What's up? How you been? Did you guys like that video that I put out last week? It wasn't a podcast, but it was a short little video I did about my drumming, the air drumming thing. And, I got a handful of really positive responses to that. And I wanted to say thank you to all those who did so. I realize it's kind of like out there a little bit, that's how I am. I'm weird and I do things differently than most people, and I have a different point of view than most people, at least the people that are around me most of the time. I mean, a lot of the people that I run into are really kind of just ordinary people, and they're not artists, so they look at me a lot of the time like they don't know where the hell I'm coming from. But I can handle hanging out with the normies, It's no big deal to me. Anyway, to get things started.
Grab your cup. It's coffee time.
Ding, ding, ding. You heard the man. Time for your coffee. Let's go. Oh, man. Is that good? Anyway, speaking of hanging with the normies, check this out. I was telling you about that drive that my wife and I took from Ohio to Massachusetts, and we went over that bridge and all that in this van that's loaded down with different kinds of antiques and heirlooms from my parents' house, the things that were gifted to me by my family and from my parents, So we're on our way, earlier in the trip on the way back from Ohio to Massachusetts, making that crossing over New York State. And we stopped at this rest stop, to get something to eat and kind of chill out for a minute. I had been driving for about, 4 hours straight or something, or 5 hours straight. So we stopped, and we're in this rest stop and we're waiting in line at some fast food place or something. And over the PA system in this rest stop, they're playing music, right? And this song by Tears for Fears comes on, Everybody Wants to Rule the World. And, I'm not sure if I've ever said this before in my podcast, but I really, really like Tears for Fears. I mean, I think that they are such a great band. And, especially now, like right now, they released an album a couple years ago called The Tipping Point. And there's a song on that record. It's the title track called The Tipping Point. And oh my gosh, I think it's like the best song they've ever done, And the video is great too. I mean, the whole thing. But, you watch these guys in concert, even like right now, and they're better than a lot of the music that's coming out right now. They're better performers than a lot of the performers that are out right now. Anyway, the point I was trying to make was we're in this rest stop and their song comes on the PA. So, welcome to your day, and I'm just kind of sitting there with my wife and we're kind of hanging out. We're like bopping to the music, and then we gradually kind of started to notice, as we're kind of looking around, waiting, everybody in the line that we're in is kind of bopping to the song the same way that we are, and it was awesome because there was this moment where everybody in the line kind of realized that we were all dancing to this music and singing along with it. And there were old people, there were young people, there were hip hoppers, there were, every kind of walk of life in this line, randomly in this rest stop. And we're all kind of digging this song, and it turned into this thing where everybody just started laughing because we were all doing the same thing to the same song for the same reasons, even though we were all very different, And we started to talk to each other and, oh, I love Tears for Fears. And, oh, did you hear their new album? And, oh, I love that song, Sowing the Seeds of Love. And, oh, everybody was just talking, spontaneously, It was just like a happening. I'm not exactly sure what it means, but I thought that it was worth mentioning. I glean from that experience. I glean. Glean. Glean, 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 glean. Okay. I think that experience kind of showed me that good is good. Like when a song is good, it doesn't matter what they're singing about, really. It's kind of like the way that it sounds and the way that it makes people feel, And actually, it reminds me of a couple of things. One of them being synesthesia, which is when people see music like in color. And also a thing called somatics. Not semantics, but somatics. It's like the effect of sound waves on water. And oh my gosh, we'll talk about that on another podcast, but do yourself a favor. Type in the word somatics, Cymatics, into Google and look at some of that footage. It'll blow your mind, okay? Anyway, so back to the rest stop in New York State, upper New York State. We were all kind of just bopping to Everybody Wants to Rule the World. And even though it was very brief and like right after that song ended and, people got their stuff that they were waiting for, the food, we all split. But that will live with me for a while. It was kind of cool. It was like every once in a while, I'll get these little affirmations that show me that the real path to making universal music that speaks to many, many people, is usually music that sounds nice. It's not confrontational in any way. You may not know what I mean. I probably don't make any sense to most people, but I take note of these things, as I move through life, that though we may laugh, all of us may laugh, that, Creedence Clearwater Revival and Peter, Paul, and Mary sell more records every year than Metallica does. You know what I mean? Like nobody talks about that because they're not in vogue. It's not sexy and dark and mysterious and cool. It's just happy music that makes people happy, makes them feel good or remember what it used to be like in their life or whatever. It's true. Look up the stats. Creedence Clearwater Revival, and I think it's Peter, Paul, and Mary. It's been a while since I've looked, but they sell so much music, like every year. At least it used to be that way. It might be different now. Anyway, so yeah, Tears for Fears. Awesome band. If you want to do yourself a favor, I'll leave a link actually in the description for this to their video for the tipping point because it is excellent. Okay. Anyway, I was talking a couple weeks ago in a podcast about my numbers, on social media and stuff and how they're low. And I do have some, evidence, analytical evidence to prove that that's a bullshit thing for me. Like, it's just, I've been chosen to not be in the YouTube club, for whatever reason. Maybe they don't like the cut of my jib, or something like that. But I don't think it would be anything like, they don't like my message or anything. You know what I mean? Whatever. Anyway, it got me to thinking about a couple things, like that idea that my numbers are so low and like, why would they do that? Not only to keep my content from reaching many, many people for whatever reason. Okay. And I'm not even saying it's anything personal or anything. It might be just because I'm just not in the club. I never have been. I'm an outsider artist, read my description, right? But I think that they do that kind of stuff to people sometimes to discourage them, to make them kind of like think to themselves, well, I'm doing all this hard work on this video and I only got 10 views, and maybe I should stop, and I just laugh because for whatever reason, I just don't think that way, you know? Like, no one ever really cared about what I was doing anyway, so that was never a deciding factor on whether I would do something or not, you know? Like whether it went over well or it was successful, because I come from the world of hard Scrabble, you know? I had to scratch for a lot of anything I got, you know? So the fact that I only get, like, on my view count, you know, like 50 views, you know, 36 views, okay? I don't sit there and go like, oh, like, woe is me. I better watch some YouTube tutorials on how to increase my fan base, you know? It's like, you know, what is the opposite of that? That's probably what I'll do. You know what I mean? Like, I was accused lately by a family member, no less, of doing things that are self-sabotaging, you know? And I thought that was kind of funny, you know? Like, for instance, like, oh, you should never, you know, reveal that you were air drumming in those videos that I showed last week, you know? And I'm just kind of like, why don't you do me a favor and keep your opinion to yourself? Because unfortunately, and this is going to probably sound pretty mean, but I don't mean it. I swear I don't mean this in a negative way. Okay? But there's a term I've heard, and that term is Philistines. Okay? And just so there's no confusion today on what I'm talking about or what I'm about to say, I'm going to grab my new Oxford American Dictionary here, and I'm going to look up the word Philistines. Okay, let's see here. Philistine. 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 The second definition: a person who is hostile or indifferent to culture and the arts, or who has no understanding of them. Philistines. Basically people that, you know, when it comes to art and, you know, the humanities, things like that, they just are either indifferent to it, or they have no understanding of it or desire to understand anything about it. And unfortunately for me, okay, I come from a very large tribe of Philistines, really, okay? And, you know, I'm not trying to throw shade on my family or anything here, but it's just the way that it is, you know? I was kind of like, in a lot of ways, not entirely, but almost entirely on my own, you know? So when people like that give me an opinion about something I'm doing, artistically or whatever, I will listen, okay? I listen to them, and I'll take it to heart, and I'll analyze it. I'll let it dissolve, you know, in the synapse of my brain, and I'll think about it, and I'll come to a conclusion. And in this case, the one that I'm talking about with this person, you know, talking about how they didn't like some of the ideas that I had, they didn't understand it. Okay, I guess maybe, you know, I could readjust or, you know, try to conform in some way to appeal to that person. Okay? But I kind of feel like as an artist, really, and you may be the same way, you kind of have to make decisions about like what sections of the population you really are going to pander to, or you'll make concessions to. And, you know, I gotta say honestly, for me, this idea of, you know, pandering to somebody who is quote unquote a Philistine, you know, they have no idea about anything that I'm doing, and they don't really get anything that I'm doing. While that makes me sad, while I hope that they would get something from it or whatever, I'm not particularly worried about it too much. You know, I used to kind of worry about that, but man, at this stage of the game, I've been doing this for so long, you know, and I know what to do and what not to do with it. you know? And that may sound strange, but it's a fact, you know? So, you know, peace, love, and Melba toast to that member of my family, you know, who may or may not be listening at this point. I'm not sure. And, you know, hey, I'll see you in the funny papers. Anyway, so I was talking about how, you know, the low view count and all that kind of stuff. Like, what would be the reason, really, for limiting somebody's exposure on social media? Like, for some kind of algorithm or some kind of something, you know, slowing somebody's progress down. Like, why would they do that? You know, other than they don't like the message or whatever. And I really think it's because they want to discourage people. They want to make people stop making stuff they don't like. Or they want to make people stop making stuff that isn't carrying the message that they want carried out into the world. And, well, okay, that's a form of censorship, but it's also kind of underhanded and really dirty and something I'm not interested in. And frankly, really, it's not something that I worry about. So, you know, no pity for me here, okay? Because the view count on my podcast video on YouTube only has, you know, 30 views, you know, after like a year, you know what I mean? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And, you know, it kind of makes me think about this idea of, you know, deep fakes and that kind of stuff that we're hearing about now. You know, that we're living in this time, we're living in a society, in a world where, you know, we're on the cusp of like an ocean of AI deep fakes, you know? And, you know, I've seen a couple of examples of these AI deep fakes, like what they're capable of doing, you know, manipulating footage of somebody and their mouth and making them say things they never said, and the computer can generate a voice that sounds just like that person, the timbre and the inflection of their voice and everything, you know. I think I saw one with like Joe Rogan, you know, and it was fascinating. It was somebody who created a fake Joe Rogan video, you know, of him speaking, saying things he never said. But, you know, if I hadn't have been told that it was fake, I don't know, I might have thought that it was real. And I know I've talked about this a long time ago on this podcast, like this idea that we might be living in like a simulation, you know, and that sounds outrageous or whatever, but maybe what that means is what we're seeing, a lot of what we're seeing is a simulation. It's not real. You know, you're watching footage of, you know, some politician or somebody talking on the screen, and it's not them, and they never said that, but it's being purported as something that was said and done by that person. And we have no way of knowing whether it's fake or not. Okay? Now, that could be like conspiracy theory or whatever. So I concede to that. Like, I might be wrong, and, you know, that might be too far out there. Okay? But if you think that that is too far out, okay, then you're going to really think that this is really far out. But over the past month or so, okay, ever since Tucker Carlson has left Fox News, you know, I think he was on Fox News. I don't even watch that stuff, okay? I tune it out almost entirely. I'm not sure I've ever watched an entire episode of Tucker Carlson all the way through. And that's not because I disagree with his politics or I agree with his politics. None of that. It's like, I cannot stand when somebody is delivering like the news, you know, like Walter Cronkite used to do, or Peter Jennings when I was a kid, you know. And instead of giving me the news, they're kind of like giving me their conjecture, their opinion. They're telling me what I should think and what I just heard and what I just saw. And it's like, I just saw it. I don't need you to explain to me what I saw. You know what I mean? I don't need that. I can come to my own conclusions. So I normally don't like that stuff at all, okay? I would rather watch paint dry than watch Tucker Carlson talk about anything, okay? But apparently he's very popular in the world these days, and, I'm so far removed from it, that I don't realize that. Okay. So he leaves Fox News, right? And it's like a scandal or something, and there's like lawyers involved, and it's this big story, there's all this drama happening around Tucker Carlson. So maybe a couple of weeks later, Tucker Carlson makes his first appearance on Twitter. And I guess that's a big deal, okay? I'm not sure, because I've never really watched anything on Twitter, or any of the social media platforms except for YouTube. I'll admit, I do watch stuff on YouTube, but I don't watch stuff on TikTok. I never did Snapchat. Not big on Facebook at all, and Twitter, not at all, okay? But I guess Tucker Carlson making his first appearance on Twitter was a big deal, right? But the point I'm getting at, and what I'm trying to say is, I'm watching his video because it's historical or whatever, his first one, going renegade here, on Twitter, and I'm watching it and I'm thinking to myself, something's not right here. I'm watching him talk, I'm looking at his face, I'm listening to his voice. It sounds like him, it looks like him, but there's something about it that looks like it's not real. Like it looks like it was generated by somebody on a computer. Now, you may disagree with me. You may think I'm nuts. I don't care. But when I see that now, because he's made a few more, I'm watching these videos now, not because I'm interested in what he's talking about. I'm interested in this idea that, is this a deep fake? Am I watching something that's completely fake? They took the likeness and the voice of Tucker Carlson, the brand name Tucker Carlson, but it's some kind of AI generated program that we're watching. And it could be, possibly, maybe, that Tucker Carlson isn't saying any of these things at all, that it's some other thing that we're watching, and it looks pretty real. I guess if you weren't of the mindset that things like that could be faked, you wouldn't really think that it's fake. But for me, I'm looking at it, I'm the tint, the contrast, the lighting of him is darker. It's a little more obscured. It just looks to me like it's fake. I think there's a good possibility that we may find out somewhere down the line that the Tucker Carlson stuff on Twitter is fake. It's not really him. Now, I don't know what that means. I'm not saying that, they tied Tucker Carlson up. He's in a box somewhere, you're bound and gagged while they're faking him talking over here. But, he may be aware of it. He may have signed off on it for a price, They took this thing that he had built and this image that he had created and this likeness of him and the sound of his voice and the way he delivers his lines, and he may have sold it. Maybe. Is that crazy? Is that wackadoo? I don't know. Nowadays, the answer is definitely no. That is not wackadoo, and that is not out of the realm of possibility whatsoever. Okay? And it's a little freaky, right? It's a little weird. I don't know. Is Tucker Carlson as of this very moment in time, is the Tucker Carlson that we are looking at and listening to, is that a fake AI generated Tucker Carlson saying whatever the hell they want this thing to say, And if you think about it, that's an interesting tool, isn't it? Right? To take the face and the likeness and the voice of somebody that's, trusted by many people and followed by many people, a major influencer, right? Isn't it interesting if they were able to kind of hijack that whole program, that voice, that face, that message, that audience, okay, and make that image, that likeness say and do whatever the people that are pulling the strings on this thing decide he should say and do. Is that outrageous? No, not really. Not really. It's definitely possible, and there would definitely be benefits to something like that. So, I don't know. It's a little out there, I get it. I do. And I'm not waving a banner saying, I think this is what it is. I'm just saying to you, and really to myself, take a close look at it, think about that. Is that fake? Is it fake? Could it be fake? You tell me, okay? You tell me.
Grab your cup. It's coffee time.
Dunkin' Donuts coffee, once again. Anyway. Yeah. Let's take a New Age Dolphin commercial break. Hang on. A few weeks ago, it was all over the place. This idea of, I think his name was Dylan Mulvaney and the Bud Light thing, And, well, I have a lot of opinions about that kind of stuff, none of which would be popular with anybody ever, anywhere. I do think it's kind of a funny thing to think about because, if no one had ever talked about that whole thing online, like if that had never come in my news feed on my YouTube or whatever, like I don't drink beer and, I'm not really tuned in to the trans lifestyle and all that. Like I don't really care about it. So the only way that I would ever hear about it is if I was being force-fed the information. And that's something to consider, isn't it? Really? That, we're being fed a bunch of stuff that we normally watch or something, and they'll be talking about this thing that happened, like with Bud Light, okay, in this case. And I would never know about it, like if they didn't talk about it on all these other shows, and all these other talking heads weren't like bringing it up and making a video about it, okay? And it makes me think, is that how it goes, like from here on in? Like there's like a party line. They decide that this week they're going to talk about Bud Light and the trans agenda. So every single show, every single talking head, every single YouTube personality, everybody talks about the trans agenda and Bud Light, all in their different ways. Some go, oh, like I hate it. And some go, oh, I really like it. And I'll never drink Bud Light again. And some people go like, I'm going to go buy Bud Light tonight just to prove that they're right, But then it comes and goes, the next wave comes and it's what? Donald Trump is being indicted, Oh, I think he should be indicted. Oh, I don't think he should be indicted. You know what I mean? Like, whatever, And I'm just kind of sitting there like, okay, I don't want to watch that. I don't want to watch that. I don't want to watch that. And I don't want to watch that. And I'm not interested in that. Why is it being sent in my feed? I don't watch anything like that. I don't watch anything about that. You know, why am I being force fed this stream of BS, you know? And then it occurs to me, like, what if I'm being sent certain things, okay? And you, the listener here, you're being sent certain things, obviously, right? We have likes and dislikes, you know? I watch a lot of music videos. So I get a lot of music video recommendations. Okay, I get that, you know? That's cool. That makes sense. I watch a lot of videos, you know? But what if there's an algorithm somewhere, you know, deciding what's going to be sent to me and what's going to be sent to you? And it may not be things that we like. It may be things we don't like, but they're trying to force feed us this information and this message. And if, you know, you have no brain cells left in your brain and you're a complete idiot, like you just go like, okay, I agree, you know, I'll play along. Yeah, you guys have turned me around on that, you know. You know, you'd be like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I'm not interested in it. Why am I being shown it? And why is it being talked about? You know? And that question answers itself, doesn't it? If there's something that I'm really not interested in, but somebody somewhere wants me to be, you know, think about it. You know what I mean? It's such a weird thing to think about and a weird time to be in. But, you know, this idea of being in a simulation, you know, when I first heard that, it was kind of like the flat earth thing. Like, yeah, there's an edge you can fall off, you know. The simulation thing they're talking about, you know, when I first heard it, I thought, like, you mean to tell me, like, my house and this table that I'm sitting at here and all this is all a computer generated thing? No. Not it at all. But what we are being shown is a simulation. That would make more sense to me. I don't think the trees that I'm looking at right now are computer generated and it's like a figment of my imagination. Okay, I think it's a little too far out there even for me. Okay, but I kind of think, you know, thinking about the Tucker Carlson thing, thinking about that Bud Light thing, it's a little weird. It's a little strange. And, you know, Donald Trump being indicted, you know, and no one ever kind of wonders, actually, on that front, at least the way that I see it is like, what if all that stuff with Donald Trump being indicted is all kind of just a fake thing that was set up, you know, like to call attention to him or to, you know, make him talked about, like that needed to happen. Like people needed to talk about him more than they do already, like, which is like all the time, you know, that's all people talk about. Like, oh my gosh, like every day there's a new thing about him, you know. I think he's the most famous person that has ever lived. I think he's more famous and more well known than anybody else ever. Any leader, any celebrity, any movie star, any rock star. This guy is blowing everybody out of the water just on his notoriety, his ability to be recognized by every culture, every walk of life, every socio-economic level. You know, everybody knows who he is. Everybody knows his name. And everybody has an opinion one way or the other, you know? But here's a weird thought. It never really occurred to anybody, but it occurred to me, okay, it did, that maybe this whole thing is all a setup, and what we're about to see, like in the future, is now that precedent has been set, that a former president, you know, somebody on that level can be indicted for a crime. Think about the precedent that it sets and think about what that means for the future. You know, I kind of wonder, I could be wrong. I could be way off, you know, but I think about it like, oh, okay, I get it. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? If Donald Trump had himself indicted, okay? And people go, oh, it's an outrage. And there's people like, oh, it's so great. He's finally going down, right? Like, that's the sound. That's the sound of the crowd, right? But it sets the precedent for the future so that now that thing that was once at one time outrageous and unheard of, now there's kind of like, somebody who did it recently. And it opens the door, for all these leaders, Obama, Hillary Clinton, like all of them. Now they can be indicted. Do you understand what I'm saying? Think about that as a strategy, because it's kind of like, really at this point, I would say Trump is a guy who plays the long game, so that might be the plan. And, they indict him on something that's ridiculous and stupid. It doesn't make any sense. It's like just another takedown attempt or whatever, right? But what if it's actually orchestrated to be that, to seem that way? Like, oh my gosh, he's a victim, They're victimizing him. I don't know. There's probably a lot of people that are like, shut up, or I don't agree, or, oh, I think this way, I think that way. I'm like, you guys can think what you want. That's the great thing about free speech and living in America is you can, free think too. Don't forget that. You're allowed to think what you want. People can't tell you what to think. And as soon as they start to tell you what to think, we're going to have problems, man. So think about that. I'm telling you what to think. Here, think about this, but it is a possibility, isn't it? Is it outrageous? It actually would be a really great strategy. Think about that. It could be. It's so ridiculous and over the top and like a circus, It's kind of sad in a way to me because, I remember the days of what politics used to be like in America. And it really has gone the way of the dodo bird. That old way of politics is gone, I know like everybody has to kind of eventually pick a side, but at this point in time, I'm kind of just comfortable sitting back and watching, it's sad to me. Maybe you feel the same way. I don't get like heated and excited and anxious when I see this stuff. I get like bummed out and I roll my eyes, and sigh. I'm like, oh, it's just so stupid. It's all going the wrong way, if you ask me. That's how it feels to me. Is that good or bad? I don't know, man. I don't know. What do you want? You want me to say like, I like this, I like that, I'm on this side, I'm on that side. It's like, I think it's all stupid, So, I don't know, bums me out. Should probably change the subject. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Grab your cup. It's coffee time.
Yeah, that's good. It's kind of funny to me that when I talk to people, sometimes, we're talking about religion or something like that, spirituality and religion, and they'll go, well, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual, Okay. All right. You're spiritual, but you're not religious. Okay. That's your choice. That's your prerogative. That's cool. Okay. I don't care. Good luck, man. I hope that when you die, that you go to a good place and that it's, it is for you the best that it can be, and I hope the same for myself and for the people that I love and I care about, that when we die, we go on to something better, right? Whether we're right or wrong, I don't know. Okay. But one thing that I know that a lot of people don't really think about or talk about, okay, when it comes to spirituality and religion, okay, is, not the afterlife or, judgment and sin and, mercy and forgiveness and, all that. Okay. That's part of it. And that's a whole separate thing. But one thing that people never really talk about, especially with me, or they don't realize, but I'm going to talk about it like right now, is that when you belong to a religion, you practice a religion, a structured religion of faith, okay, one of the things that happens is kind of like a peripheral advantage or a peripheral experience, okay? And we're talking about the daily life of a human being here, okay? By once a week devoting, a couple hours of your time to gathering in a location, agreed upon by a group of people, and you all meet up and you worship publicly, like you worship privately, during the week, but once a week you set aside some time to come together with a group of people who agree, and they want to worship together, and in an age of loneliness like we live in, I would imagine that would be not only like really appealing to people that are lonely, but it would be like a really good advantage to somebody who's lonely to have that opportunity every week to come together with people, and that may or may not interest you, and I don't care. I don't care. I'm not here to convert you to a religion, okay? I happen to think my thinking is correct about religion, and we're not going to get into that, but the point is, okay, what I'm getting at here is that aside from all that, right, aside from coming together to worship with a group of people, having a common belief and a common, ritual you all do together, one of the things that people never notice or talk about is that doing that once a week forces you, okay, if you're not a complete moron, okay, it forces you to get dressed up in nice clothes. Now, that may sound stupid to you, okay, but I'm here to argue that it's not stupid. There's a word, and the word is decorum. D-E-C-O-R-U-M. And we're going to talk about decorum, so I'll get my handy dandy new Oxford American Dictionary yet once again today, and I'll read you the definition of decorum. Okay, let's get this book. Oh man, this thing is heavy. Oh my gosh, is this book heavy? A lot of information here, in one book. Ages and ages and ages of words and definitions. Okay, so here we go. Decorum. It's a noun, D-E-C-O-R-U-M. Behavior in keeping with good taste and propriety. A particular requirement of good taste and propriety. Suitability to the requirements of a person, rank, or occasion. Okay? So, the point is that, when you gather with a group of people in a sacred space once a week, the idea traditionally is to put on nice clothing. Like, let's say during the week, you wear cargo shorts, flip-flops, and a t-shirt, with a baseball hat turned backwards, That's what you normally wear. But on this day, at this time, you put on a shirt that's ironed, a collared shirt with a tie, probably, a nice pair of pants and a sport coat, like once a week, it forces you to, wash your hands, shave your beard, comb your hair, brush your teeth, get kind of cleaned up and kind of, look and, feel good. That's what happens when you get dressed up, and it's no small thing, I'm an artist, I'm a rock and roller, I wear wild clothes sometimes and stuff like that, and I like that, I like interesting clothing, at least I think I do. I could be wrong, but I think I do. My wife tells me, okay, that my clothes are interesting, okay, she likes the way I look, but, for both of us, really, it's kind of nice, aside from the ritual, aside from the church, aside from the people and the feeling and the holiness and it feels so, those things that are internal like that. There's another aspect to it, other than the solemnity. There's a sense of decorum and a sense of dignity. Getting dressed up once a week, not every day, not every day. Thank God I don't have a job where I have to wear a tie every day. I used to go to school where I had to wear a tie every day, and I didn't like it. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't like it. After, 8 years, it really kind of sucked after a while. But, it's a tie, and that's the proper decorum of a kid in that school. Like, that's what you wear, And, it taught me when I was young, like how to iron a collar. I ironed my own shirts when I was young. Now that I'm older and I spend most of my time kind of dressed comfortably the way that I want to be, it's good for me. It's good for everyone, I think, to take that time once a week to, look good, feel good. And I gotta be honest with you, man, it's really true. All you happy innovators out there, you may know what I'm talking about here too. That when you go out into the world with a t-shirt and flip-flops, you get treated differently, okay? No matter how much money you have in your wallet, no matter how much you paid for your flip-flops that you're wearing or your cargo shorts, you get treated completely differently by everyone, okay? Everyone, when you're dressed up. Even if the clothes that you bought were bought at Goodwill and they were only $1.50. People don't know that when they see you walk into the room wearing nice clothes and, your shirt tucked in and you shaved, and you put on deodorant and you took a shower and your hair is combed, and you walk differently, you feel differently, people treat you differently. It's a very strange experience sometimes for me, how differently I get treated. I'm still the same idiot that I always am, it's just I get treated completely differently when I'm dressed a certain way. Now, they say don't judge a book by the cover, and I get that, and that's true. It's wrong to do that, okay? It's wrong, because a lot of the time people are doing that, they're wrong. They're getting it all wrong, but that's part of the point, though, that I'm making here, is that depending on what you're wearing, no matter how much money you have, it doesn't have to be expensive clothes. People will judge you by what you look like. They do. They go, I don't judge a book by the cover. Yes, you do. Everybody does. Everybody sees somebody walking towards them. They immediately make a discernment, practical distinction. Like I talked about in those podcasts a while back, a practical distinction. I look at something, I decide whether I like it or not, and then I move on. You know what I mean? Do I swerve out of the way or do I shake their hand? Like that kind of thing, that's how you survive. That's how you move through the world, right? And when you do this exercise or this ritual like once a week, after a while, it would be kind of like, let's say this weekend coming up, okay? All you happy innovators that are listening to this right now, okay? You all decide, you know what? I'm going to put what Mike is saying to the test, okay? I'm going to put on some nice clothes and I'm going to go out into the world with nice clothes on. And I'm just going to see if I get treated any differently, And I guarantee you, dollars to donuts, man. You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised at how people treat you. And you'll be surprised at how you feel about yourself, the proper decorum, the question being, should a 50-year-old man, be walking around with cargo shorts, flip-flops, and a t-shirt. Well, if I'm going to wash my car in my driveway, sure, why not? If I'm going to the beach for a volleyball game, sure, why not? But if I'm going to a restaurant, I don't know. You know what I mean? Now, you may disagree with me. You may be saying to yourself, oh, I don't think it matters what I wear. It's what's on the inside that counts. That may be true, okay? And in all honesty, really, that is the truth, okay? But there's another truth, and that other truth is that the people that are seeing you and experiencing you in their space, they're making judgments about you. They're making decisions about you, and the only thing they have to go on is whether you combed your hair today or not. I mean, that's all they can really see, So do yourself a favor, make it an experiment, this Sunday. You don't have to go to church, although I recommend people do. I think it's a good thing to do for a whole host of other reasons that maybe somewhere down the line I'll get into here. But today, we're just talking about decorum, You'll be surprised at how different you feel and how different people treat you, It always kind of bummed me out a little bit, because growing up, my father and especially my father-in-law, these, older gentlemen that were like in my life, okay, they always dressed nice, when they went out in the public. Now, if it was a Tuesday and my dad was going to the hardware store to get a wrench, he wouldn't put on a suit. That's not the proper decorum for going to a hardware store to get a wrench or a tool, right? But if he was going out to dinner, if he was meeting with friends, if he was going to church, if he was, something like that, he would put on a sport coat. He'd shave. My father never left the house without his hair combed and his face shaved. He never did. He never grew a beard. He never wanted to. I begged him to. He would say, no, I don't want that. He just hair combed, regular haircut, no beard, nice shirt, and no stains or crumbs on his shirt. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. My father-in-law, even more so. He always looked sharp, nice shined shoes, a pair of slacks, a nice shirt, hair combed, always shaved, never rough shave, never 5 o'clock shadow. He always looked great when he left the house, but casual too, at the same time, just up rather than down, like just a little bit up rather than down. That's what he did, he would dress up. And instead of dressing down. Okay. And it's been my experience, okay, that while this may not be the sum total of what a person is or the sum total of a person's impact on society, okay, that idea of wearing something nice, once a week, getting in the practice of, wearing a nice shirt, nice clothes, and, you wear the clothes you got, you look nice, but you do that a couple weekends in a row and you're going to start thinking to yourself, I think I want a new shirt, So then you go to the store and you'll spend the money on the shirt because you're going to wear it, not just for a wedding or a funeral, you're going to wear it once a week, it's money well spent. And oh my gosh, the way people treat you, I can't even stress it enough. I could probably do an entire podcast on that alone. The experience, the odyssey of going out into society just once a week and dressing up, and the idea of, getting dressed and getting ready and being prepared and looking and feeling good. It's really as much of a self-esteem thing or interior thing as it is an exterior thing that other people see. It really is kind of like about you, You know, how do you feel about yourself? You know, my mother always used to say to me growing up, you know, we wear on the outside what we are on the inside. She said that to me all the time. You know, when you'd see somebody who's just a mess, you know, they're a mess. Their hair is messy. They haven't showered. They look dirty. They wear on the outside what they are on the inside. Think about that. That could be wrong, but I don't think so. Okay? Take it from me. It really is an important thing to try. You know, and it bums me out when I see older gentlemen, you know, older than my dad was, you know, and they look like they're going to a volleyball game, you know. They look like they're dressing like a kid, you know, and it's not the proper decorum for an older man like that, like a guy in his 70s, you know. It's kind of sad to me that they don't get it, that they don't have that kind of self-esteem even, you know, to like put that together in their head. You know, my dad did, my father-in-law did. Why aren't you? You know, like, why don't you get it? Joe over there, the guy with the outfit on, it looks like a kid, old man dressed in kids' clothes. Decorum, my happy innovators. Decorum. What is the proper decorum? It's kind of a big deal. You don't think so? I know it. I know it. Most of you out there are listening to me right now and you're like, oh, that's bullshit. Oh, shut up. I'll wear what I want. I want to be comfortable. Okay. You're right. You're right. And I'm wrong. Okay. But if you really are a happy innovator and you're willing to kind of give it a try, it'll blow your mind. And it doesn't matter where you go and what you do. You know, you could go to the store every Sunday, you know, the mall or whatever they do now. They don't really have malls that much anymore, I guess, but that's a whole nother podcast. Oof, so much there. But, you know, go somewhere, go to a restaurant, go to the same restaurant, okay, every Sunday for a month. Or here's what you do. Go to a restaurant on a Saturday, okay, wearing whatever you want to wear, okay? Same restaurant, okay? Go on a Saturday, same time, wearing whatever you want, okay? And then go the next day, go to the same restaurant, okay? With different clothes on, with your hair combed, your teeth brushed, and all that stuff, right? And order the same meal even, okay? And you watch how differently you get treated. It will blow your mind. Same restaurant, same table, same food, same time, same building, just a different day with a different outfit on, and you just watch how you're treated. And you know, the reason I'm bringing this up, the reason that it's on my mind, is because I kind of noticed that when I was at my mother's funeral, you know, it was really a chance for me to see a lot of people in one room. And it was a lot of people. And, you know, some are family and some are friends, you know. And I noticed that there was this threshold of like guys and gals over a certain age were all kind of dressed up, you know. You know, and some people look better than others. You know, some people have really nice stuff. They really know how to dress, and some people really don't, you know. But they tried, you know, they wanted to look nice. They wanted it to be separate from all the other outfits that they wear when they're, you know, just running around in the world. Like they wanted to look different, and they wanted to probably feel different, and they wanted to demonstrate respect for me and my family and my mom, you know. But that younger generation, like below that line, okay, I felt kind of sad for them because they don't know what to wear, you know? Like they don't even know how to dress nice. They don't know how. It's not their fault, I don't think. They don't know how to dress well. Like no one ever taught them how to iron a shirt and do, you know, it's important sometimes to, you know, wear nice clothes and to take a shower for special occasions, like weddings and funerals or whatnot, church on Sunday or whatever. You're going on a date or, you want to put your best foot forward. They don't even know what that means. They have no concept. This younger generation, I feel so bad for them. They have no concept of self-esteem or dignity or decorum. They have no idea. Like, it's not like they're being like rebellious or something. They don't know. Their parents, for whatever reason, never taught them. They never taught them decorum. I mean, where do we learn it from? We learn it from our parents. We learn it from our elders. Manners and dignity and just self-respect. They don't have any idea that they should even want that. It blows my mind and it makes me a little sad, and I'm not ridiculing them. It's it's not a judgment. It's just really sad to me. When I was 8 years old, I got the concept. I had to. Every Sunday we went to church and I had to wear nice clothes. And if I tried to, pull the wool over my parents' eyes and go to church and I don't know what, a football jersey and a pair of jeans, my parents would have get back in the house and change your clothes. Nice try, But nowadays, oh man, I'm like an old, what do they say? I'm an old man yelling at the clouds. Yeah, whatever. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. What, because I'm older, I don't know or something? Yeah, whatever, okay? Oh my gosh, I feel so bad for them. There's another podcast on that alone, right there. And it's not a ridiculing of them or a judgment of them or oh, I think I'm better than them. It's not like that. It's pity. It's pity that these poor saps don't even know how to tie a tie. They don't even know the feeling of wearing nice clothes and how people treat you and how that makes you feel about yourself. Just once in a while, man. Not every day. It's okay. I don't dress like that every day, but every week, once in a while, I wear really nice clothes and I really try to look good and feel good, going to do a church thing or going out on a special occasion or something. That's not the same as going to the park to play Frisbee. They're two different things. And these poor bastards can't even differentiate between those two things. They wear the same thing to a funeral, okay, that they would wear to the park to play Frisbee. They don't get it. And people notice, Sorry guys, sorry girls, people notice. And they'll treat you badly or they'll treat you differently. Maybe not badly, but they'll treat you differently because you don't know how to dress. And, you may not like that idea. You may go, hey, I'm a rebel. I'm going to do what I want. And that's cool. I get that. Trust me, I get that, okay? I dig that. But have some self-respect. Construct yourself sometimes. Do the math yourself. Here I go, blah, 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 blah. I'm off and on and on and on and on and on and on, right? Oh.
Grab your cup. It's coffee time.
I'm almost out. I have to get some more. Anyway, my happy innovators, man, I had so much other stuff I wanted to talk about today, but I'm feeling a little bit excited and long-winded, and I went past the time that I wanted to. So I have a bunch of talking points for the next podcast. How's that? So, my happy innovators, now that my coffee is gone, and I talked for a really long time, I have other stuff to do, of course. working on the new pipe choir music. And oh man, there's a couple of tracks, man, that are bangers. You guys are gonna like this stuff. I really think so. We'll see. That reminds me, I gotta do some album descriptions for The Last Major Sin, The Wrench and the Rubicon, and I think PC1 Escons. I gotta do those. They're coming, don't worry. I'll do it. But like I said, my coffee's gone. That sucks. And I'm gonna get on with other things. So have a great week. Happy innovators. Be good to yourselves. And remember, folks, if you want to keep what you've got, you got to give it away. And sometimes you should wear a tie. Take it easy. Okay, everybody. I got some music for you today. Kind of a funny idea, I guess. Probably in 2013 or 2014, I was asked by the Free Music Archive, which is a place for Creative Commons music to be shared freely and openly. I was asked by somebody I knew there to participate in a contest they were having called the Short Song Marathon. And the idea was that you would make these song ideas that were like 17 seconds or less, I think. That was the criteria. And, you would submit these ideas and they would be free for people to use or whatever, for commercials or whatever they were doing, films and that kind of stuff. And they would be these short little bites of like sound, short little songs. Okay. And, for all of you out there that are listening that are familiar with the PC3 Diodata record, you'll probably recognize some of these. It was a long time ago and these songs were kind of like considered, to be like scraps of ideas. And, it was fun and not a big deal, but I decided today what I would do is share with you the ideas that I submitted for the Short Song Marathon. So there's about 26 ideas here, and they're all very short, 17 seconds or less. So let's get into it. Here we go. Okay, that was interesting, right? It was fun, interesting experiment. But I don't know, today I just kind of felt like that wasn't quite enough, you know? So what I decided that I'm going to do today is I'm going to share with you a song I have called Ancient Whispers. And a lot of you probably know that song. And I released two versions of the song, and one of them became more popular than the other, maybe because it was included on a PC3 album. So there was like version 1 and version 2. So, I was digging through my vault of ideas, and I came across both versions of Ancient Whispers. So I figured today I would share with you at the end of the podcast both versions of the song. And I worked hard on them both. I like them both, I use that first act guitar that I have, that little toy. I use it like a lute in this song, so I thought that was kind of neat to listen to. And I use a lot of that vocoder, that robot voice and stuff, playing around with that. I was happy with the way that these came out, both of them. So without further ado, here we go. Pipe choir or PC3, Ancient Whispers version 1 and then version 2. Let's check it out.
so high, I never touched the ground. You needed me to sing the song of the ancient whispers over ancient seas and under ancient skies. I fly. I fly. Oh, sister wind, you are a long and loyal friend. You lift me to the sky, a song that never dies. And all the souls you save when